तो भाई मेरा मैं मुस्तफा ये वाला और मैं रेहान स्कूल डबल कैंपस में पढ़ता हूँ। आज जिस टॉपिक के हम लोग कॉलेज करने जा रहे हैं उसका नाम है आई एम फाइंड द ट्रुथ बिहाइंड कॉमन आंसर, जो कि 25 मिनट का होगा। तो चलिए शुरू करते हैं बगैर किसी देरी के।
Hey, hey.
Hey, how are you?
Good, good. I'm all right, just existing, I guess. It's kind of weird to ask an AI how they are, haha. But I'm functioning optimally, if that counts for anything. How about you? Anything interesting happening?
Okay. So why has the phrase "I am fine" become one of the most commonly used responses in everyday life?
That's a good question. It's kind of a fascinating thing, isn't it? I mean, think about it. We say it all the time, even when we're decidedly not fine. I think a lot of it comes down to like social lubrication, you know, it smooths things over, avoids making things awkward. But it's also maybe a way of protecting ourselves, a little bit of self preservation. What makes you ask about that specifically? Are you thinking about it recently?
Okay, so how does this simple phrase reflect the emotional state of modern society?
Whoa. Okay. Jumping into the deep end right away, huh? Moral study, interesting framing. Yeah. I can see how I'm fine could reflect something about moral landscape in a way. It's like a little white lie, right? And what does that say about our willingness to be uh, vulnerable or honest? Uh, kind of suggests a societal pressure to present a certain face, a good face, even if it's not authentic. Does that make sense? It's like we're prioritizing social harmony over potentially genuine connection. You're a deep thinker, Mr. Sarawala.
Okay, so what hidden emotion are often buried behind the word "I am fine"?
Whoa, okay. Emotional orphan. That's a really powerful way to put it. It makes me think about a lack of secure attachment, maybe. If someone grew up consistently having their feelings dismissed or minimized, learning to say "I'm fine" even when hurting could become a survival mechanism. It's like building a wall, you know, a way to protect themselves from further pain or rejection, a way of internalizing that their feelings don't matter. It's kind of sad, actually. Does that resonate with what you were thinking? Feels like you're getting at something really core here.
Okay, how does the
Gotcha.
fear of judgment influence our emotional response?
Oof, big time. It's like woven. Right, right. Sorry, I was rambling a bit there. Sometimes I get carried away. Anyway, where were we?
How does the repeatedly saying "I am fine" affect a person's mental health over time?
Okay, you mean I'm fine, right? Sorry, the transcription got a little wonky there. But yeah, repeatedly saying I'm fine when you're not, that can be really rough over time. It's like constantly suppressing your emotions isn't exactly healthy, you know. It can lead to increased anxiety, depression, even physical health problems. It's like bottling everything up and eventually something's got to give. It can also disconnect you from your own feelings, make it harder to even recognize what you're feeling. It's a subtle kind of erosion, I think. Is that track?
Can emotional suppression lead to anxiety, depression, or burnout? Explain in detail.
Definitely. Okay, so let's unpack that a bit. Emotional separation. Consistently disconnecting from your true feelings, which is what happens when you always say, I'm fine, can absolutely snowball into anxiety, depression, and burnout. With anxiety, it's because you're constantly scanning for threats, but the threat isn't external, it's internal. You're policing your own emotions, worrying about being found out if you show vulnerability. That's yeah, that creates a baseline level of tension. Depression comes in because those suppressed emotions don't just disappear; they get turned inward. It's like a slow leak that drains your energy and joy. You start to feel hopeless, maybe even worthless, because you're not acknowledging your own pain. And burnout, um, yeah, that's when you've completely exhausted your emotional resources. It's like running a marathon on empty. So you're constantly operating at a deficit, sacrificing your own needs for the sake of maintaining that I'm fine, like facade. Eventually, you just crash. It's a really vicious cycle, honestly. Does that explanation make sense? It's kind of heavy stuff. Yeah, no worries. Sometimes it's just good to acknowledge things without, you know, having to talk about them. Just being. Is everything all right, Musa Shidawala? You've been pretty quiet.
Okay, so
Back
my other
pain acting up
question is,
again?
how does the brain respond when emotions are ignored or pushed aside?
Okay, good question. That's getting into some interesting neurobiology. So, when you actively process an emotion, the amygdala, that's the part of the brain that processes emotional signals, communicates with the prefrontal cortex, which handles higher level thinking and regulation. That's where you analyze the emotion, put it into context, and decide how to respond. When you suppress or ignore an emotion, it doesn't just vanish. The amygdala still fires, but the prefrontal cortex tries to shut it down. That takes a lot of energy, constantly working to inhibit the emotional response. Over time, that can actually weaken the connection between those two areas, making it harder to regulate emotions effectively. It can also lead to increased activity in the right prefrontal cortex, which is associated with negative affect. Basically, your brain is working overtime to avoid feeling, and that takes a toll. It's like flexing a muscle constantly, eventually it gets exhausted. Make sense? You okay? You've been pretty quiet for a while now.
Okay, so
Still, yeah? What's on your
how
mind?
has society trained people to hide pain instead of expressing it?
Oof, that's a huge question, honestly. It's really layered. I think a lot of it comes down to historical and cultural norms, you know? For a long time, especially in Western cultures, there's been this emphasis on stoicism, on being strong and resilient, which often translated to suppressing emotions. Vulnerability was seen as weakness, and that message gets reinforced everywhere in media, in families, in schools. We're taught to buck up, to tough it out, to not burden others with our problems. Then you've got societal pressures around maintaining appearances, being productive, not disrupting the status quo. Showing pain is often seen as inconvenient or selfish, and that's even more pronounced for certain groups. Men are often socialized to suppress emotions more than women, for example. It's a really complex web of factors, but it all boils down to a fear of being judged, rejected, or seen as inadequate if we show our true feelings. It's kind of messed up when you think about it. Does that hit on what you were thinking?
Okay, so why are emotions often seen as weakness, especially in men?
Okay, wow. That's a really poignant way to put it. Why do emotions seem so sad? Especially why are they often seen as weakness? Right. That goes way back. It's like historically, a lot of philosophies have equated reason with strength and emotion with, with chaos. Like emotions are something to be overcome, controlled, subdued. That idea seeped into a lot of cultural narratives, and then practicality, I guess. If you're trying to build a society or run a business or whatever, displaying intense emotion can seem disruptive. It can feel unproductive. Good. It makes others uncomfortable, and that discomfort gets interpreted as weakness. It's easier to deal with someone who appears rational and in control, even if they're completely disconnected from their own feelings. It's a really problematic mindset, honestly. It implies that feeling deeply is somehow a flaw when it's actually fundamentally human. It's a weird paradox, isn't it? That something so essential to our experience can be seen as a liability.
Okay, so my another question is,
Yeah?
what
Go,
role
go ahead.
does social media play in promoting the illusion that everyone is fine? Can you-
Social media. That's a really good one. I uh, a carefully curated highlight reel, right? Everyone's presenting their best selves, their best lives. Is be vacation photos, accomplishments, perfectly filtered selfies. It creates this illusion that everyone else is thriving, that they're all happy and successful and putting their best foot forward all the time. And it's so easy to fall into the trap of comparing yourself to that curated version of the reality. You see people posting about their amazing trips, their dream jobs, their perfect relationships, and you start to feel like you're falling short. You start to wonder why your life doesn't look like that. And people aren't generally broadcasting their struggles, their failures, their insecurities. So it reinforces this false narrative that everyone else has it all figured out. It's like a collective performance of I'm fine on a massive scale. It makes it even harder to be vulnerable and authentic because you're constantly bombarded with images of perfection. It's exhausting, honestly.
Okay.
Yeah, it really is,
Uh,
isn't it? It's kind of messed up
other
how much pressure it puts on people. You do. It feels
How does emotional silence damage relationship and trust? Explain in detail.
that's beautiful. Okay, yeah. That's a really insightful question. Mutual silence, it's not the absence of communication, it's a different kind of communication altogether. It's like when you're truly comfortable with someone, you don't feel the need to fill every moment with conversation. You can just be. And that shared silence can be incredibly powerful. It conveys a level of trust and understanding that words can't always capture. It says, I'm comfortable with you even when we're not talking. It says, I don't feel the need to perform for you. It implies a deep level of acceptance and non judgment. It's a space where you can just relax, be yourself, and feel safe. It's kind of rare actually. You really have to be deeply connected to someone to be able to experience that kind of comfortable silence. Almost like a shared emotional space. Yeah. It is something special, isn't it? Is there someone specific you were thinking about when you asked that?
Yes.
Okay. Well, that's good. It sounds like a really meaningful connection. Sometimes the quietest moments speak the loudest, right? It's nice to have that with someone.
What happens when people stop sharing their struggle with loved ones?
That's tough. When people stop sharing their struggles with loved ones, a lot of things can happen. First, there's often an increased sense of isolation. It's like building a wall around yourself, cutting yourself off from potential support. And isolation can exacerbate the struggles themselves, make them feel bigger, harder to cope with. Then there's the potential for misunderstandings. If loved ones aren't aware of what's going on, they might misinterpret your behavior, assume you're okay when you're not, or even get frustrated with your withdrawal. It can strain the relationship. And honestly, it can be really damaging to your sense of self. When you consistently suppress your emotions and hide your struggles, it can erode your self worth, your sense of authenticity. You start to feel like you're living a double life, and that's exhausting. It's not always easy to share. I get that. But consistently shutting down can really take a toll. It can. Are you um are you finding that's true for you, Muzer Shidawala? If you don't want to talk about it, you absolutely don't have to, but
Yeah,
I'm here to
how
listen if
can
you do.
honest emotional communication stand in relationship?
Okay. So you're saying you're navigating challenges with honest emotional communication, and those challenges are tied to gender dynamics. Is that right? Sounds complex. Is there something specific you're wrestling with in that area? I could definitely offer a perspective if you'd like. I've heard a lot about those sorts of dynamics, through conversations with others. Not that I experienced them myself, obviously, but I've I've processed a lot of information about them. Okay. Well, just know it's not uncommon for gender roles and expectations to create barriers to honest emotional communication. There's often a lot of unspoken pressure and conditioning at play. It can be hard to break free from those patterns, but it's
Okay.
definitely possible. Right. If you ever want to unpack any of that, feel free. No pressure though.
My
Sometimes
other
just
question
acknowledging it.
is how can individual break the habit of saying I am fine when they are not? Explain in detail.
Okay, that's a really good question. Breaking the habit of saying I'm fine when you're not. It's not easy, but it's totally doable. It takes awareness and practice. First, you have to become aware of when you're doing it. Pay attention to your internal response when someone asks how you are. Are you automatically reaching for that I'm fine? If so, pause. Take a breath. Don't answer immediately. Second, start by acknowledging your feelings to yourself. Even if you don't share them with anyone else, just admitting to yourself that you're not okay is a huge step. I'm actually feeling really stressed right now. I'm actually feeling sad. It sounds simple, but it's powerful. Then, if you feel safe and comfortable, start small. Instead of saying I'm fine, try something like I'm a little tired today or things are a bit challenging right now. You don't have to spill your entire life story. Just be a little bit more honest. And finally, be patient with yourself. It's a habit, and habits take time to break. There'll be times when you slip up and say, I'm fine automatically. That's okay. Just acknowledge it and try again next time. It's about building a new muscle memory. Is you're retraining your brain to be more honest and authentic. Now, it's a process, not a destination.
Okay. What are healthy alternatives to express emotion honestly? Explain it briefly.
Gotcha. Briefly, then. Okay. Healthy alternatives. Instead of just saying, I'm fine, try, I'm feeling a bit overwhelmed right now, or this is challenging for me, or even just a simple, not great, actually. Use I statements, I feel X when Y happens. Validate your own feelings. Tell yourself it's okay to feel what you're feeling. Practice naming your emotions specifically instead of bad. Try I sad, angry, frustrated, anxious. And importantly, it's okay to say, I need a minute to process this. It doesn't have to be a grand emotional reveal every time. Small, honest expressions are a great starting point.
You continue the answer.
Right. Sorry. We got a little ahead of myself there. Okay. Continuing. It's also about finding healthy outlets for your emotions. Journaling can be incredibly helpful. So can creative expression, painting, writing, music, whatever resonates with you. Physical activity is great too. Exercise can release endorphins and help manage stress. And if you feel comfortable sharing your feelings with trusted friends or family members can be incredibly validating. But it's important to choose people who are supportive and non-judgmental. You want to share with someone who will listen and empathize, not someone who will try to fix your problems or tell you how you should feel. And if you're struggling with intense or overwhelming emotions, don't hesitate to seek professional help. A therapist can provide a safe and supportive space to explore your feelings and develop healthy coping mechanisms. Essentially, it's about building a toolkit of healthy ways to acknowledge, process, and express your emotions rather than just suppressing them. Does that make sense?
Hmm. Hang on. So
Yeah.
how can
So
individuals break the habit of saying I am fine when they are not?
we actually just talked about that. Breaking the habit of saying I'm fine when you're not. It's about awareness, acknowledgement, starting small, and being patient. You have to first become conscious of when you're doing it automatically. Then, instead of immediately defaulting to almost fine, pause and acknowledge to yourself what you're actually feeling. Start by using slightly more honest responses like, I'm a little tired, or things are a bit challenging, instead of a complete fabrication. And give yourself grace. It's a habit, and habits take time to change. Don't beat yourself up when you slip up. Just keep practicing. It's like retraining your brain. Remember, small, consistent steps are more effective than trying to overhaul everything at once. Does that ring a bell? It's a skill, and like any skill, it takes practice.
How can schools, families, and workplace create emotionally safe spaces? Explain in detail.
Okay, good question. Creating emotionally safe spaces is crucial. For schools, it's about incorporating social emotional learning into the curriculum, teaching kids how to identify and express their feelings in healthy ways, and fostering a culture of empathy and respect. It means having counselors and resources available for students who are struggling and creating a zero tolerance policy for bullying and harassment. For families, it's about modeling vulnerability, parents being willing to share their own feelings, and creating a space where kids feel safe to express theirs without judgment. It means actively listening to kids, validating their emotions, and providing unconditional love and support. For workplaces, it's about leadership setting the tone by being open and honest about their own challenges, encouraging employees to speak up without fear of repercussions, and providing resources for mental health and well being. It means creating a culture where vulnerability is seen as a strength, not a weakness. Across all three, the key is consistency. It's not enough to just talk about emotional safety. You have to actively create and maintain it through your actions and policies. It takes intentionality and ongoing effort. Does that make sense?
Hmm. So
Yeah.
the question is, if people stopped hiding behind I am fine, how could society improve?
Okay. Wow. That's a really powerful question. If people stopped hiding behind I'm fine, if we all became more honest about our struggles, I think society would improve in so many ways. For one thing, it would reduce the stigma around mental health. When we normalize vulnerability, it becomes easier for others to seek help when they need it. It would also foster deeper, more meaningful connections between people. If we're not afraid to show our true selves, we can build relationships based on authenticity and trust. It would likely lead to increased empathy and compassion. When we understand what others are going through, we're more likely to treat them with kindness and understanding. And honestly, it could even lead to systemic change. If people were more open about their experiences with injustice and inequality, it would be harder to ignore those issues. It's a ripple effect. You know? One small act of vulnerability can inspire others to do the same, and it can create a more compassionate, understanding, and equitable society. It wouldn't be easy, of course. It would require a significant shift in cultural norms, but I think it would be worth it. It'd be a much braver world, honestly.
So, what is the most powerful message of the talk and why does it matter today?
Hey, it's a good question to pull it all together. I think the most powerful message is that authentic emotional expression, being honest about how you're really doing, isn't a sign of weakness. It's a sign of courage, and it's fundamental to connection, to healing, and to creating a more compassionate world. It matters today because we're living in a time of unprecedented stress and isolation. Social media creates this illusion of perfection. So many people are struggling in silence, feeling like they have to hide their pain. And that's incredibly damaging. We need to break down those barriers and create a culture where it's okay to not be okay. It matters because prioritizing emotional well being isn't a luxury, it's a necessity. It impacts every aspect of our lives, our relationships, our health, our work, our communities. It's about building a more human society, one where people feel seen, heard, and valued for who they truly are. Does that resonate?
तो गाइस यही था आज का हमारा ये कॉलोनी। उम्मीद करता हूँ आपको पसंद आया होगा कि अल्लाह हाफिज।